Welcome to this AgileXRM demo. The low-code dialogues and BPM for Microsoft Power Platform and Dynamics 365. This is the loan application demo. In this demo, we will cover the following topics about how AgileXRM can help businesses to enable customer self-service in your business processes, design and run full end-to-end business processes for Dataverse, and implement robust change management and business continuity. To give you some context, we will present the scenario of an online bank with a public website for their customers. Customers can log in and submit new requests like loan applications. The approval process for these requests involves different departments of the bank and provides continuous feedback to customer about this process, including the participation of the customer in the process. The process includes various integrations, including REST services, email, and dynamic document generation. The structure of this demo is divided into 3 parts. The first part shows how a dialogue can guide the user when submitting a new loan application. Then we will manage the approval process of this new request. And lastly, we will see how to apply changes to the approval process and release them to take effect.
Let's start by submitting a new loan application. We simply visit the bank's public website and then go to Loan Applications. We select to submit a new loan application. In the new loan application page, a dialog is loaded displaying the instructions on how to complete this request. This is an Agile dialog from AgileXRM and will guide the user through the different steps to complete this request. We click Next to start this process. We have previously logged in with John Smith's bank's credentials, and the system identifies us as an existing bank customer. We are presented with the Employment and Education Details form, where some details have been preloaded for us from Dataverse tables. We can update these details or complete any missing data. The lists of options come directly from Dataverse option sets. Once we are okay with this information, we click Next, and this information will be automatically updated back to Dataverse. Next, the Loan Details form is presented. In this form, we must specify the loan amount, the term in months, and choose the interest type, as well as the purpose of the loan. At this point, we can perform a simulation of the loan conditions by clicking the Calculate Loan Repayments button on the bottom right corner. The system calculates the loan amount with interests and the monthly repayments according to the proposed interest rate. Bear in mind, these are not the final conditions, but a simulation for the customer to consider. We can change the loan amount or term and see how the conditions change. Once we are satisfied with the proposed conditions, we click Proceed. Before submitting this loan application, the system will perform various automatic checks, and it requires the customer's consent. The next form presented is Consent and Declarations, where the customer must check all 3 boxes before proceeding. Under some specific circumstances, the automatic checks will come back with the result of not passed, meaning that the loan application cannot be submitted with the current conditions. For example, when the amount requested is too high for the declared income. In these cases, the system informs the customer of this situation and provides the option to amend and retry or withdraw the application altogether. In this case, we're going to amend it to request a smaller loan amount and for a longer term to proceed again. Recalculating the loan repayment shows a more sensible payment plan according to customer's income. Confirm the Consent and Declaration screen and click Next. In this case, the checks have passed and the loan application has been submitted successfully. Customer is informed about this request submitted via email. Let's review customer's inbox for new emails. We notice a new email. If we open it, informs that the loan application has been submitted successfully and provides a reference number. This is the end of part 1, where a bank customer has submitted a new loan application using an Agile dialog that guides the user and performs data validation, calculations, and automatic checks.
On part 2 of this demo, we will manage the approval process of loan applications. When a new loan application is submitted, an approval process is triggered automatically to manage the different approval steps that take place involving different teams inside the bank organization. we will change roles and act as Bob Hope, a bank employee in charge of managing loan applications. To do this, the employee uses a bespoke model-driven app created specifically for this need. When the loan management app opens, a dashboard is displayed showing the current status of the active loan applications submitted, their status, the purposes and amounts requested, and different trends. To manage the individual loan app requests, we click on the menu Loan Applications, where we see the active submitted loan applications, the customer, amount requested, and status. We can identify the first one as the request our customer has just submitted earlier. We click on it to see the details. A form is displayed showing all the information about the loan application, divided into different tabs and sections. On the top, we have a BPF, Business Process Flow, that gives us an indication of progress on the approval of this request. In the general, we see the loan details, customer details, the list of pending tasks, and a timeline of all completed activities. In the timeline, there's a special activity with the subject Loan Application. If we click to open it and switch to the Process Task tab, we can see the complete audit trail of what the customer submitted. All the information entered on each of the screens, all the interactions, changes, buttons pressed, the first not passed result, the amendment, and the final submit. This full audit trail represents the exact picture at that point in time, and it's extremely useful for tracking and auditing. Back into the general form, there is a tab that will display notes and documents related to this request. And there's a tab called View Process. In this tab, we see a process diagram or process map. This tool is called Process Manager. This process started automatically when the loan application was submitted by the customer and defines the different steps to approve the request. This is a live diagram. We can see the steps already completed with a green tick and the currently active pending task of check required documentation with a moving gear. We can drill down into each of these steps to see the details. Clicking on this one opens a pop-up where we see that this task was assigned to user Bob Hope a few minutes ago, and it's due tomorrow. There are some buttons below that allow us, if we have the appropriate permissions, to open the task, cancel the task, reassign to another user, or change the task due date. This allows a manager to effectively manage task assignments, due dates, and SLAs. This tool provides for greater control and management options that we will explore in Part 3 of this demo. The current request is pending on the task Check Required Documentation. We could open and complete this task directly from this diagram, but we can also switch back to the General tab and notice there's a task in the Pending Tasks list. From this list, we click this button to open the task. The task form opens with a couple of tabs. The Process Task tab is loaded by default, displaying a dialog with the customer details and the loan details. This dialog tells us to review these details and, based on the customer and loan information, decide which documentation is required. In this case, we will check the options ID, passport, and last 3 income statements and click the Submit button. This action completes the task and takes us back to the loan application form. We switch to the View Process tab, and we can see that the corresponding task is now complete, and the process has advanced to the next step, Submit Documentation, that is assigned to the customer, John Smith. The customer also receives a notification via email about this task pending to complete. Let's open John's email inbox. Here's a new email received. If we open it, we see a message saying that John must provide additional documentation for this loan application. A button is provided to do this. When the customer clicks on this button, a browser tab opens and loads the Submit Documentation form, where we see the documentation requested and a control to attach documents. Customers can click this button and select the corresponding files, ID scan, and last 3 income statements to attach them. To complete this task, the customer simply clicks Submit and the form closes. This task is now complete. If we switch back to our model-driven app to manage loan applications, acting as Bob, our bank employee, we see that the process diagram has automatically updated and moved on to the Check Required Documentation step again. We also see in the General tab that the timeline is updated and there is a new pending task that we can open clicking on this button. This opens the Check Required Documentation task and loads the associated dialog. In this case, the dialog shows the documents attached by the customer to review and inspect. Clicking on each document shows a preview on the right side. After reviewing both documents, we scroll down to take a decision whether these documents are complete and correct. If we decide they are not, we need to describe what is missing or wrong typing in this text box, and this information will flow back to the customer who will be able to provide more accurate documents. In this case, we select Yes and click Submit. After this task completes, we go back to the process diagram, and we see the process performing some automatic steps in parallel, performing some updated interest calculations, and moving the attached documents to the loan application as notes. Let's check the Notes and Docs tab to confirm that the documents provided by the customer are available here for process participants to review if needed. Any other relevant documents will show up here. Next, the BPF advances to the next stage of credit check. In this stage, an automatic step is performed, a query to an external credit check service. After it completes, the process creates a task for the credit risk team to review the result of this automated credit check and assess the overall risk of this operation. To avoid switching back and forth between different users, we will complete these tasks using the current bank employee user, Bob. We click on this button to open this task. The task form displays the credit check dialog. This dialog shows all the necessary information to take an informed decision. Information is split into different tabs: customer details, loan details, interest calculations, and previous customer applications. Scrolling down, we also see the result of the automatic credit check, the response, the credit score, the blacklisted presence, and a text summary. Taking into account the details and the credit check, the credit risk employee can enter some comments and decides whether to pass, decline this credit check, or refer this request to a director. In this case, we select Pass and click Submit to complete this task. The dialog closes, and we are taken back to the process diagram. The process advances, and the BPF moves to the next stage, screening. At this point, two different teams need to be involved. One is in charge of completing a simple KYC interview with the customer, and results will be updated automatically in Dataverse. In parallel, the compliance team needs to complete some AML checks. Let's open the KYC interview to complete it. The task opens and displays the instructions to complete this task. Verify customer's identity, identify customer's tax residency, determine the main sources of income, assess the risks based on transaction history, and finally determine the due diligence required. With the information we have about this customer, we answer these questions and determine that a basic due diligence is sufficient. We click Submit to complete this task. After completing this task, the KYC answers are stored in the corresponding tables in Dataverse automatically. Notice the hand icon in the diagram, highlighting the fact that the process is waiting for the other parallel branch of AML screening to complete. We continue processing this loan application by clicking and opening the AML screening task. This is a special type of task, is a dialogue activity, which is a sequence of different pages with rules and integrations making it a reusable component. The first page shows a welcome message. We click Start. The next page shows customer details and asks us to enter customer assets and choose business industry from a drop-down list, and click Next. Notice the breadcrumb at the top of this page that we can click to go back to a previous step. A couple of automatic steps were executed performing queries to a PEP list and a blacklisted service. The results of these queries are presented here. In this page, we specify any sanctions present, company structure, and corporate documentation. We click Next. A summary of all the information gathered is presented, and the employee must determine the customer risk profile based on this information. In this case, this is considered a standard risk profile. We click Next, and the process is complete. The risk profile is updated on the customer table in Dataverse, and the customer is informed about the outcome of the AML screening. Back into the process diagram, let's drill down again into the details of this dialog task. We see a button called Sub-Process. If we click on it, we can see the process diagram that handles the dialog task we have just completed, the AML screening. This is the actual process that runs on the background as we interact with the dialog pages and includes rules and integrations with third-party systems. If the customer has been identified as a high-risk customer, the corresponding team is informed via email to include this customer in a tracking list for regular compliance checks and taking into account for future operations. Back into the approval process diagram, after both parallel branches of the process have completed, the process evaluates a condition. If it has been determined to perform an enhanced due diligence EDD, or the customer has been deemed a high-risk customer, then we need to perform an extra enhanced risk assessment task to determine whether we can approve this loan application. In this case, this risk assessment task was not necessary, and the process can continue to the next stage, propose conditions. At this stage, the bank must create a proposal of conditions for the loan. The Create Proposal task is assigned to the corresponding team. When we open this task, a form displays the initial loan conditions requested by the customer. Here, we can change these conditions based on the customer information, existing products, and risk profile. For example, we could request a guarantor or some type of loan security. Based on the updated proposal, we could click Recalculate to obtain the updated monthly loan repayments. We could decide to decline to make an offer based on this information. In that case, the process would finish and the customer would be informed accordingly. But in this case, we will click Send Proposed Conditions to complete this task. These conditions are then sent to the customer. A task review conditions is created for the customer who also receives an email notification. If we switch to John's inbox and we open the latest email received, we can see a button to Review Loan Proposal. We click on it, and the task form opens, displaying the conditions proposed by the bank and an option to either accept or decline. For the sake of this demo, we will accept these conditions and click Submit. At this point, the loan application is considered approved and accepted by the customer. The process moves to the final stage and performs a series of automatic steps: date calculations, generating a Word document with the loan contract details, attach the contract to the loan application, and arrange a signature date for the contract. After these automatic steps, we can review the generated loan contract on the Notes and Docs tab. There's a new PDF document with the loan contract. If we open this document, we can see highlighted the specific details of this loan application. To complete this process, the only thing left is to arrange the contract signature and complete it. In this case, the process uses an appointment activity, including a bank representative and the customer as attendees. We can open this activity from the General tab in the Pending Tasks section. We click on this button and the appointment form opens. We review the details and click Mark Complete. After this is complete, an email is sent to the customer to notify the conclusion of the process, and the loan application is marked as complete. This email is tracked in the timeline for everyone's reference, and we can inspect its contents. We can also check John's email inbox one more time and see the email he receives with the contract attached. This is the end of the second part of this demo, where we see how we can manage an end-to-end process within Dataverse with AgileXRM processes.
In this third part of the demo, we will show you how AgileXRM empowers users to make changes to a process and release them without code. One of the issues that the business users have detected in this process is when an agent decides to pass the credit check despite the automatic credit check service returning a very low credit score, under 700. A change has been requested to consider this credit score in addition to the agent's decision and refer the request to a director under these circumstances. Let's look at an example of this behavior to understand better the change we want to apply. We have an already running loan application approval process for an investment from Mark Roberts. This process is currently on the credit check step. Let's open this task. The task form displays the customer and loan information as well as the results of the automatic credit check service. Notice the result is review, and the credit score is quite low. Despite the fact of this result, the bank agent decides to pass this credit check and complete this task. The process takes into account the agent's decision and progress to the next stage. We want to make a change to the rules of the process so that even if the agent decides to pass, if the credit score is too low, the process will not move to the next stage, but rather involve a director to review the application. To make this change to the process, we open Visio, which automatically loads AgileXRM Process Modeler, which is an add-on to Visio. The Dataverse environments available are loaded. Click OK to connect to the selected Dataverse environment. We navigate to this Loan Application folder and then double-click the Loan Application Approval process. The process model opens in Visio to allow edits. On the top, we see an AgileXRM toolbar with different actions. On the left, we have several stencils with shapes that we can use in our process. On the right, we have a property pane displaying the information of the selected shape. On the central area, we see the process diagram where we drag and drop, arrange, and connect shapes to create our process. In our scenario, we want to change the conditions under which it's required to refer the loan application for a director review. To make this change, we click to edit this multiple condition shape. In this condition editor, we see two conditions. The third output of this condition shape would be the default else branch. We select the first condition and click Edit. In the expression editor, we add a new row clicking on the plus icon. We leave the AND logic operator. In the name part of the expression, we search for the credit score in the context window. We click here and the context window opens. We search for the credit score and click OK. For the operator, we select greater equals from the number section, and in the value section, we type 700. We click Validate to confirm the syntax is correct, and click OK to confirm the changes to this expression. Back in the condition editor, we select and edit the second condition. In the expression editor, we click the plus icon to add a new row, but we change the logic operator to OR. In the new row, we click on the name part to select the credit score value again from the context window. For the operator, we select less than from the number section, and in the value section, we type 700. We click Validate to confirm the syntax is correct. We click OK to confirm this expression, and we click OK again to confirm these changes. Now that we have made these changes, we want to make it effective by publishing it. First, we confirm that the process is correct by clicking the Validate Process button. This functionality verifies that the process is logically correct before we can release it. The process is valid. Now click Publish to release this process. In this screen, we see that the current version of this process is 1.36, and we are about to publish version 1.37. AgileXRM provides full version control. We enter some comments about the changes made to this new version and click OK to publish. The new version of this process has been successfully published. Let's go back to the Loan Application Model-Driven app. This is a running process we had earlier. By default, running processes are not automatically updated to the latest version. We can do so if we have the appropriate permissions. Click on the Pause button to start the migration. Afterwards, click on the Migrate button. This is the Process Migration tool. On the left, we see the current 1.36 version. On the right, we see the target 1.37 version. We could choose any other earlier version to migrate to. We confirm the version we want to migrate to and click OK. Then click Resume to continue running on the new version. Notice this process now runs version 1.37, but the process has already moved on to the next stage. We can rewind the process to go back to the previous step to reevaluate the conditions. This is called change flow functionality, and you need the appropriate permissions to perform this action. Click this button to start. In this change flow mode, you click Active Steps and select the target steps you want to activate instead. click the KYC interview and AML screening process and select the previous stage step. Click OK to confirm this change. The credit check step is active again. We switch to the General tab and we see the credit check task is pending. We click this button to open the task. We review again loan application details and the automatic credit score results and scroll down to confirm the decision. Despite the low credit score and the summary notice, the credit team member decides to pass this credit check and complete the task by clicking Submit. We switch to the View Process tab and confirm that the process continues, and in this case, the credit score was taken into account in the condition step. The evaluation of the conditions produced the refer output due to the low credit score, and the director has been involved in this credit check. This is the behavior change we wanted. This is how you can easily apply changes to your processes and ensure your running processes are updated, keeping your business up and running at all times.
This is the end of the demo. Thank you for your time. Visit our website at AgileXRM.com for more demos and content. Or get our Community Edition for free and experience the platform for yourself.